Hello, and thank you for joining us for this session, which is Integrative Medicine for Ovarian Cancer. In this session, we will discuss the beneficial role of evidence-based integrative medicine in ovarian cancer treatment, including yoga, massage, and acupuncture. Our speaker for this session is Dr. Harpreet Gujral. Dr. Gujral is both a clinician and healthcare administrator who brings 3 decades of experience in various clinical areas. She co-launched the Johns Hopkins Sibley Integrative Medicine Department, both as a program director and nurse practitioner. She is board certified as a family nurse practitioner and most recently served as a program director and nurse practitioner at the Sibley Weight Loss Surgery Department. You can view her full bio in the downloadable conference program. Thank you for being here, Dr. Gujral. Now I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much for the introduction, and I'm so grateful for OCRA to invite me to come speak with you today. What a great conference thus far. Lots of great learning experience and a lot of hope and exciting future with all the presentations you've attended. So without further ado, let's get into the presentation we'll be talking right now. So the objectives of these presentations will look at various dimensions of well-being for optimal health and also learn ways to reduce inflammation for well-being. I would delve a little bit into integrative approaches for cancer-related symptoms, and then what are the daily practices that each one of us can do to enhance our well-being. So first and foremost, food is one of the strongest pillars of our well-being. And as Hippocrates said, food is medicine. Whole food that's minimally processed and anti-inflammatory foods are really important to upregulate the good genes and downregulate bad genes. The more diverse food we eat, different rainbow colored foods. These are not rainbow, processed cereal and things like that, as you know. These are Mother Nature's rainbow colored foods, like purple peppers and blueberries and things like that. And we've had a great nutrition lecture that you heard for anti-cancer living. So I would ask you to please check that session out as well. Avoiding sugar-rich foods, incorporating healthy fats. We know there are anti-cancer foods in addition to other rainbow-colored foods. We know green tea, sulforaphanes like broccoli and things like that are anti-cancer. Drinking lots of water for hydration is absolutely important. And psychology of eating means, what is my narrative when I'm eating food? As we know, ovarian cancer, there is a higher risk when our weight is slightly excessive. So really aiming to keep our weight optimal is important. And psychology of eating is creating this great setup of how we are in the mindset to consume food. So we're not multitasking, we're sitting in with the food, heart filled with gratitude, and in awe with looking at the food that has been put together, who grew it, who sold it, and just incorporating all of that gratitude when we begin to sit down to eat food. So also the next pillar of well-being is fitness versus frailty. So it's really important, as we know, exercise has been one big factor for seen as positive evidence in having better outcomes for cancer. So it's really important for us to, number one, be physically active, to maintain a healthy weight, to reduce our risk for other cancers, and also to ensure that helps with brain fog, that helps with maintaining optimal body function, and people are more likely to continue through their chemotherapy when they have been physically active. It also improves fatigue and types of activity. I'll go into the next slide. I also wanted to mention acronym NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, means the amount of calories we burn when we're actually not exercising. So for example, if I was exercising an hour a day, what are my other activities, the 23 hours? What do I do the rest of 23 hours is neat. So I'm sleeping for 8 hours, and then other hours that I'm awake, how active am I? Am I putzing around the house? Am I going up and down the stairs? Am I taking, am I walking to the bus stop? Am I taking a metro train, which I know, right now is not ideal for most of us, keeping our social distance, but also being mindful of how do I create more steps in my day to ensure healthy weight and healthy outcomes. So the other dimension, pillar of health, anti-cancer living, is movement. This is the examples that I wanted to share with you. I wanted to also bring attention to a wonderful resource, a book called Anti-Cancer Living by Dr. Lorenzo Cohen, Cohen. He's at MD Anderson, and battling with his own cancer journey, he has written a beautiful book called Anti-Cancer Living with his partner. And so movement could be just anything. It could be yoga, tai chi, qigong. It could be dancing. It could be just, moving to your favorite music. It could be stretching, hiking, running, walking in the garden, spending some time in your vegetable garden, just anything, playing sports of your favorite choice. So just movement that we enjoy, that best resonates with us ourselves, is important. Sleep really gets underrated. And we know that lack of sleep can cause more inflammation. So if we're looking at how do we reduce inflammation, sleep is really one of the big investment in our health. Usually it's up to after 6 hours of continuous good sleep is when the best, cleaning that happens in the brain. We have this cleaning crew that comes in 6 hours after continuous sleep and tidies up the place and organizes everything into the drawers. All our memory, all our thoughts, everything gets organized in a better way. So really investing in getting a good sleep. I know people going through ovarian cancer can have disrupted sleep because of medications, because of stress, fatigue, and that can be quite taxing. So really looking at this pillar and saying, how best can I improve my sleep? Spending some time in sunshine, usually first thing in the morning. I'm not saying 30 minutes or 45 minutes, even 5 or 10 minutes in the morning sunshine, not necessarily facing the sun, but just being in sunlight turns off your melatonin from previous night, and that allows you to then create more cortisol in the morning, which gives us more energy. As we know, fatigue is something that really touches people going through ovarian cancer treatments, and so it's really important to make sure we're getting good sleep and we are actually mitigating fatigue in this way by spending some time in the sunshine. Sleep hygiene is really important. So really avoiding 1 hour of screen time prior to bedtime, making sure there's no TV on while we're sleeping. So really being mindful of how much screen time we're spending, and also how much what we're doing all day that really helps us sleep better at night. So managing stress is another way of getting good sleep at night. So what type of environment, are we living in? So becoming mindful of our external environment and internal environment is another way of anti-cancer living. Being intentional about the air is clean. Can we open the windows and let some fresh air in? How many chemicals are we using? What kind of makeup are we using? I mean, I wore a little bit of makeup today, but generally I am going without makeup, because why should I expose myself to more chemicals? I do abide by the recommendations of the group called EWG, Environmental Work Group, that has recommendations and safety levels of various products. So I look at that. I also keep some household plants to sanitize the air, making sure that it's clean. I am being intentional about the types of cleaning agents that I'm using. I'm really relying on baking soda and good old vinegar to clean my kitchen counters and bathrooms. And right now we've really have the luxury of finding a lot of great green cleaning products that are not only good for us, our internal environment, but also good for the world, for sustenance of the planet. The other environment I would like to bring your attention to is the internal environment. So what kind of dialogue, my narrative is there? Am I kind to myself? What am I saying to myself? So I think it's really important. This is where we practice self-compassion, really practice kindness to ourselves, and really minding our positive mindset. And more to come on that. I'll speak more to that. So really finding, every day is a gift to ourselves. And so finding meaning and purpose. For example, this connection that we have during these days with the OCRA, conference that we're all attending, meeting new people, networking, finding ways to ask for help with grace and accepting that help allows us to find meaning and purpose in how we're applying our values, and what really ignites our passion, and utilizing that is really important. And studies show that when we are connected to our purpose and meaning in life, there is just intuitively, we're more connected to caring for ourselves, and we have just more energy, in doing the things that we need to do because we're connected in this way. The other dimension or pillar for well-being is relationships, and it's a great segue. When we are connected with ourselves with utmost compassion and kindness, we are then able to investigate and invest in our relationships with others. It's really important to, count in with our resources, people who are kind to us, our network, where you might feel common humanity versus isolation. So it's really important to focus on that. And you can check out more of our work by typing in self-compassion.org, self-compassion.org, and great resources on self-compassion. I love this quote by Mother Teresa: "If we have no peace, it is because we have forgotten that we belong to each other." I think it's so important to see that connection that gives us the strength to, do more for the world, for ourselves, and be more healthy. And so the other dimension of well-being is security of life. So really being cognizant, something that is so ordinary, like wearing seatbelts when we're driving or in the car or in a vehicle. Simple things there could be a lot of challenges, financial challenges due to medical bills, and others, maybe lack of work, unable to work full time. So really our relationship with money is important, being very intentional about our abundance and coming from the space of abundance, and not of feeling that there is less of, and accepting with grace. People wanted to help. They want to bring food. They want to, take the child for whatever help friends want to and family members want to give, accepting that with grace, because if we were in their shoes, we would do the same for our loved ones. Facing our fears, it's really important to look at the fear and face it and say, okay, I'm going to write this down, acknowledge it, instead of just pushing it below the rug. Because when we do that, there is something within us that is continuing to remind us that there is something that's unattended. So when we face the fears, I love a poem by Rumi. It's called The Guest House. So if you're interested, please check that out. Guest House by Rumi, who's the 14th century poet. And dealing with stress, really important to make sure that we have put enough initiative to manage our stress, because that can cause more inflammation. So let's take a look at what symptoms do generally people deal with when dealing with cancer. Stress is huge. Just the diagnosis itself, treatment, our whole lives get affected by the diagnosis and what is next. And fatigue is a common symptom, not only due to the condition itself, but also secondary to side effects of treatment. And sleep or lack thereof, or disrupted sleep, can be a common symptom. And additionally, chemotherapy-induced peripheral neuropathy, pain. It's also called CIPN, short for chemotherapy-induced peripheral neuropathy. So let's look at what NCCIH, National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health, has to say. And I know this slide is busy, but it's mainly to just bring your attention to the available resources. I think it's really important for us to know that there is no magic bullet. There is no one supplement that can make cancer go away. There is no one thing that we can do. So it's really important to focus and utilize what we're going to say as adjunct therapies, using them in integration with conventional treatments to see how we can enhance our well-being, how we can mitigate the symptoms and side effects that are, cause of either the condition or the side effects of medication. So I wanted to bring your attention to that. Even though this slide is busy, please check out the website, NCCIH. They post up-to-date information. And what's important is that we're not wasting our money buying snake oil. It's very easy to fall prey to the promise of supplements, of other things that someone else posts on their social media. So I think it's really important to know where is the evidence and where it is not, and not fall prey to the lack of evidence, really, and taking it with grain of salt. So let's talk about stress. We know stress can be good and stress can be bad. Dr. Kelly McGonigal, this done today, can be both emotional to chronic disease, cancer, marriage, jobs. Someone laughed when I said teenage kids. I have 2 of those that can cause some distress, but really we're fortunate. So magnitude of stress, meaning how much, and chronicity are also important. Like how long are we affected by this? And we'll explore what physical changes in the body can be caused due to distress. So stress can affect all of the body. 70 to 80% of chronic disease, like heart problems, like inflammation, can be caused or exacerbated because of stress. So it's really important to make sure that we are emphasizing on stress mitigation and really investing in anxiety where the stress can actually get bad for us. So this slide is basically to show, as you see on your right side, the U-shaped curve, inverse U-shaped curve. Right in the middle, you see there is this normal level of stress. When it is too low, where we are pedaled to do a flight response, when we are in a state of relaxation and we've turned off this inner dialogue, like, why is this happening? Why, what will happen? What if? We turn that off either by simple practices, that actually sprinkle throughout the day, and I'll talk more to that. Then there is the fight or flight tendency, it gets activated multiple times a day. But when we learn ways to mitigate that, we are able to then counteract the toxic effects of those chronic stress levels. 7, 8. So how we do this up with dignity, all right, as well. That's okay. But if you're sitting up, sitting upright with dignity, ease, shoulders are back, the tongue is behind the teeth, the top teeth. It's like this. And we keep it there for the duration of 4 breaths. And we breathe in from our nose for a count of 4. We hold for a count of 7. We breathe out from our mouth for a count of 8. So I'll demonstrate and then I'll count for you while you do this breath. Okay. So breathing in, 1, 2, 3, 4. I hold my breath, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Breathing out from my mouth, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the tongue is still behind the top teeth, so it makes it a worse sound. So breathing in, let's do this. I'll count for you. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Breathe out from your mouth, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you feel dizzy, you don't have to do any more, but otherwise, let's keep going. You're sitting down. Don't do the standing. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Breathe out from your mouth. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Very good. One last one. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. 7, 8, 4 times a day. That allows our fatigue to get better through exercise, through acupuncture, and through being mindfulness. And we'll talk more in detail how mindfulness can help. So complementary therapies for fatigue. So during treatment, hypnosis is one way of either learned or someone else, an expert, is doing that for us. There's also ways to use other approaches that will actually help mitigate some of those effects. What you notice in the middle is exercise as thus far the foremost, highest. So I would keep exercise as, if I have 10 minutes to do, if I can, that's all I can do, then I would do 10 minutes of exercise. But if I can do it for 30 minutes, that is great. So 30 minutes, 5 days a week is a wonderful way to get 150 minutes of exercise once a week. It was wonderful. We stop fighting. And so there's less stuff in the wrong way, where I'm not saying, why is this happening? Why is this happening? We're resisting to changing and doing what needs to be done. This allowed me to actually make changes in what I needed to do in my life. It was not in context of the condition, disease, but it was more in context of what was happening in my life. Acupuncture is a great way to mitigate some of those side effects. And American ginseng is another way to mitigate fatigue. After treatment, acupuncture is a wonderful way. Meet with your acupuncturist, see who has a safe way of, seeing you once a week or twice a week, and it's safe for you to go through during these times for acupuncture. So there was another symptom, as we talked about, sleep. We know sleep can be disrupted during treatment. Has done a great job on Holden. Melatonin is another way of getting good sleep, but please do discuss this with your medical practitioner to make sure it's not interfering with anything. As I mentioned, sunshine, spending time in sunshine during the day turns off melatonin. Although instruction website and are out there to do business, and they really want to sell and make some improper or not proven claims to that aromatherapy is a panacea and it can take care of everything. It's really meaningful, but we really have to be careful in what we're using it for and how safely we're using it. For pain management, we know CIPN, chemotherapy-induced peripheral neuropathy, and otherwise, my favorite one is mindfulness-based stress is really important. I do have some resources for you in the end as references and resources that also talk about University of Ohio that has Wexner Institute has great meditations for pain, and those are wonderful. So let's talk about daily practices for well-being. What can we do to daily sprinkle our day, with simple things that can actually help us be more well-being? And I love the self-efficacy, the innate capacity of each one of us being the warriors and what we can do every day to maintain our health. So I think it's really important to making time for self-care, ensuring and also urging the caregivers, your champions who've been by your side, whether male, female, binary, whoever they are, really being present with them and encouraging them to make time for self-care. And it doesn't have to be an hour long or 30 minutes. It could be just 5 minutes. It could be those 30 seconds of 4-7-8 breath that we just did. So they don't have to be big heroic moves, just simple things that we can do, and do things that resonate with you. Not honor, thus a feel-good hormone, which is good for our well-being. So gratitude turns what we have into enough even more. And I think that really resonates with me, no matter what the difficult time might be. When I practice gratitude and really look at, just every day, what am I grateful for today? It allows me to see things as glass half full. UC Davis psychologist Dr. Robert Emmons has done a lot of work around this topic, and he studied, how this improves our well-being and enhances resilience to be just 2 minutes for negative things and Teflon for just intentionally focus on what's positive in our life. It allows us to cultivate and actually strengthen that muscle of gratitude. So writing, sending text messages or creating a gratitude, group judge each day the feel-good hormone in that particular moment. That's what's mindfulness. John Kabat-Zinn is the father of this, and he is the one who, created the program called Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction, MBSR. And it's a wonderful program. I had to do that for my doctorate in integrative health. And I'm really grateful because that allowed me to slow down in that moment to actually see what's happening. And in that moment where I can see without, I can see a cloud of negative things just go by. And instead of I getting sucked in or view over the rock, very turbulent, but I'm standing on the river bank and I see the water, but I'm drowning in it. So I can see how turbulent that is. I can see the challenge that, current moment is bringing. And yet I'm fully present, noticing the emotions, everything is impermanent. When it's positive, I remain present to notice the beauty of it. It's hard and difficult. I know it'll pass as well. So just knowing the impermanence, the beauty of impermanence. And I invite you might already be using some of the apps like Calm, Insight Timer, but there are a lot of other apps out there that can help cultivate mindfulness. And it is definitely science-based. Another practice is called heart rate variability. What happens is that every time a heartbeat is generated, it's slightly different than the previous one. And that is actually good for our resilience. The more heart rate variability we cultivate, the more resilient our body, our physiology is, but also our emotions are. So what happens is then by simple deep breathing, like 4-7-8 breath, or cultivating just breathing in and breathing out. It could be box breathing like 4-4-4 or 6-6-6, or just noticing what's out there in nature. It allows us to be in more coherence, which is our flow, and it allows for heart rate variability to be things. Then you can balance is as soon as I start to focus on breath, feel good in my heart, this happiness and joy, I can see this graph being much more smooth and even. Another way to manage our daily health is acupressure points. There's a great website, and it has tons of free resources, which is on your slide here. On the bottom left, you see www.acupressure.com. So in addition to acupuncture that's done by a specialist, we can help to what sleeping soundly, being mindfully present, being authentic to ourselves with what's happening, being evidence using self-compassion, practicing gratitude, writing about things, what's happening. Journaling is a great way. Using self-compassion, caring and nurturing relationships, decluttering our physical space and our mental space really is helpful. Heart rate variability and utilizing acupressure points all help. I mean, simple things that we can do every day to enhance our well-being. I think simple joy, and share it with Meet today. I want to share being alive, the joy of being alive with each one of you. Thank you so much for your attention. And the next 2 slides that you will receive have the references and resources. And I look forward to answering your questions also on October 1st. Thank you so much.